I am Babla Jonathan, and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from my headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. And our top stories in this edition of the news: at least 5 persons have died in a shooting incident in Songwa in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. The victims of shooting orchestrated by unidentified gunmen last night, and still in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. They have been in captivity for more than 4 months in Asou village in Pinyin. The now ex-hostages were set free by security and defense forces. And in other news, the Christian Cardinal Tumi, who is Cameroon's lone cardinal, it begins the journey to the world beyond. His mortal remains removed from the Douala Military Hospital earlier today and taken to the cathedral ahead of burial tomorrow. And in news out of the country, a huge fire burning along Table Mountain has displaced occupants of 3 17-story buildings in Cape Town. At least 5 persons have died after unidentified gunmen stormed a popular drinking spot in Songwa in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. The gunmen are said to have been shooting indiscriminately at those who were present at the time they stormed the area. And of course, latest information streaming into our newsroom indicates that at least 5 persons died in that incident. And of course, this is just one of the incidents that have been recorded at very close intervals of time within the context of the more than 4-year-long armed conflict hitting the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. No official statement as of now on that incident in Songwa. Our reporter Mustela files in details.
Inhabitants of my 90 Songwa say they heard gunshots last night at about 10 p.m. This Monday morning, a huge crowd turned out at this popular drinking spot. What they saw: corpses littered on the floor. They were shot at night by yet-to-be-identified gunmen.
They killed my friend, They killed my friend, I only had gunshot, and this morning they said that she's dead, I don't know.
Apparently, the gunmen targeted people in the bar. They shot and killed 5 persons, wounding several others. People are yet to understand why.
Around 10 o'clock, in the bar, I don't know time where I just hear gunshot. Yes, then I discover I don't get injured from my back.
My 90 Songwa has been a hotspot in Bamenda since the war began. In November 2020, about 4 persons were shot dead in a car said to be returning from Batibo in Momo Division. Speaking off camera, some inhabitants expressed their beliefs separatists carried out the attack, but no one is confirming yet. At the time of this report, no official statement regarding the incident had been made, but family members have identified and deposited the corpses of the loved ones at the mortuary, pending burial.
ETV's Mbustela reporting from Songwa in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, and we stay in the northwest region to talk about some ex-hostages set free by elements of the security and defense forces of the Republic of Cameroon. They have been in captivity for more than 4 months in Asou village in the Pinyin, and now they are free again thanks to the elements of Cameroon's national defense. and security forces. There are about 11 of them, or rather 9 of them, who were set free recently, as Manjik and Gabriel report.
It was a happy reunion between 9 freed hostages and their family members at the esplanade of the 5th Military Region in Bamenda. While in the camp of the armed men in Asu Kwata, Pinyin, they were beaten under their feet with machetes, and one saw his ear cut off.
They gave Gomo my head. So they gave Gomo my head. The first I knew, the first one with me. For Kwata, I say.
Notwithstanding the pains they went through, their parents were happy to have them back.
Kidnappers came around 1 p.m. in the night, well armed, and took them away. So we were sad. When there was no way to go, nothing to do, the whole day, even I felt even sick. From that day to today, I've never been sound. So we just sit praying. Then went to the headquarters. We gave this information to. He says he will then know how to write to the government that we should just keep peace. We should wait. Then he will tell us. So yeah, it's just yesterday again that we had the information that God has made you people way to go and knew where they were at. Then our children are back. So we're so happy from that day to today.
Another parent says the freed children should also be responsible.
I want to advise that in as much as the military is making a lot of effort, these children should also be responsible, because the parents are here. When you look at the appearance of their hair, this is my own child, it's my sister's child. As a teacher, I will want to say that it's not only the military that can discipline children. These children, they are our children, and we should discipline them so that we make the work easier for the government and the military.
The operation that led to their release came after the military had flying news about the blocking of the Bamenda-Bafusam stretch of road in the days ahead.
On the night of 16 to 17, a task force conducted a targeting operation in the locality of Pinyin, and then you can see the results. They liberated 9 of those young people, and they also collected some materials, automatic guns, den guns, and others from the kidnappers.
Apart from the hostages who were set free by the military, some materials used by the armed men in the fabrication of local arms, bullets, rifles, and a commercial motorcycle were seized by security and defense forces, who say they will leave no stone unturned in their quest to bring peace to the northwest region of Cameroon.
While he was alive, he spent much of his time talking and struggling for peace and normalcy to return in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. He spent much of his time struggling to see an end to the bloodshed, to the destruction, to the atrocities going on in the 2 English-speaking regions of the Republic of Cameroon for more than 4 years today. He is Christian Cardinal Tumi, the lone cardinal of the Republic of Cameroon, and he's now on the journey to the world beyond. And of course, the fourth week-keeping mass for Christian Cardinal Tumi for today is going on at the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral here in Douala. His mortal remains removed from the Douala Military Hospital earlier today, and for me, Armstrong Sanders says it took place in strict respect of anti-COVID-19 measures. His report.
Phase 1 was here at the Douala Military Hospital mortuary, where you see vehicles are actually leaving. It took just 17 minutes after the casket containing the mortal remains of Christian Cardinal Tumi was brought to the esplanade of the Douala Military Hospital mortuary. It was followed immediately by a brief sermon and prayers done in a strict Catholic religious tradition.
À la miséricorde de Dieu, afin que là où est ton Seigneur, que lui-même y soit.
Led by the Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese, His Grace Samuel Kleda. We also saw the presence of the Archbishop of the Bamenda Metropolitan Archdiocese, His Grace Andrew Nkia. There was also the presence of Abraham Kome, who is the president of the National Episcopal Conference, as well as a host of other bishops and archbishops who came from different parts of Cameroon. But you remember that it took just 17 minutes for this ritual to be done here. The mortal remains of Christian Cardinal Tumi are being conveyed to the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral in the nation's economic capital city, Douala, where he served for many years as Archbishop. As you can see, it was a very brief ceremony and we are headed to the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral in Douala.
And the corpse of His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi has been in the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral since the earlier part of today. And I told you earlier that the fourth wake keeping mass is going on at the moment, and of course there will be another one coming up at 8 p.m. ahead of burial today. For me, Armstrong Sander now takes us to the Douala St. Peter and Paul Cathedral.
After a less than 30 minutes corpse removal ceremony at the Douala Military Hospital mortuary, His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi in a coffin arrived at the St. Peter and Paul Metropolitan Cathedral in Douala, where he served as Archbishop from August 31st, 1991 to November 17, 2009. His mortal remains will be taken directly to the center of the cathedral, where he stood to officiate Mass for over 30 years, to Christians who say his impact on their lives cannot be quantified nor qualified in a day.
Ce que je retiens du cardinal Tumi, c'est tout un livre.
Yes, it's a big loss for the family, big loss for the church, big loss for Rome, and big loss for all of you here. You can see the population standing here and understand the magnitude of the man he was. This is somebody who was cardinal since 1988 and has served the church diligently. They don't make them like him anymore. So.
Le cardinal Christian Tumi qui s'en va au ciel, nous ne pouvons que dire merci au Seigneur de nous l'avoir donné sur terre, parce qu'à travers lui nous avons reçu plusieurs enseignements.
The same positive impact that he left on his biological family.
My uncle deserves it. He lived for the people. You can see the kind of bed he used to sleep on. He was our uncle, a wonderful uncle, who loved all of us. Nobody knows at what time precisely he died, because he was alone. He must have died on Good Friday, but he was discovered early hours of the morning.
The St. Peter and Paul Metropolitan Cathedral, Douala, which will host the 2 days official funeral ceremony of the lone cardinal in Cameroon, has been beautified with the colors of the Vatican City. Born on November 15, 1930 at Kikaikilaiki village, Kumbo subdivision of the Bui division, northwest region of Cameroon, Christian Cardinal Tumi, participant at the 2005 conclave for Pope Benedict XVI's election, will be buried at the Douala Metropolitan Cathedral on Tuesday, 20th of April 2021.
Christian Cardinal Tomi will be laid to rest tomorrow, and he leaves behind a struggle which he spent much of his time focusing on. I'm talking about the security and socio-political challenges in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon, and it is within this context that His Royal Majesty Mekanya Okon Charles, outgone president of the Mundemba Chiefs Conference, Divisional Chiefs Conference, is calling on his successor and collaborators to intensify the fight against hate speech. Hate speech is one of the factors that have contributed in adding fuel to the fire as far as the socio-political tensions in the northwest and southwest regions of the country is concerned. And Mekanya Okon Charles, His Majesty Mekanya Okon Charles, was speaking recently in Mundemba, while handing over to his successor at the helm of the Mundemba Divisional Chiefs Conference. Derejato reports.
Chief Nguime Stanley of Metangolo Chiefdom in Mundemba Subdivision takes over from Chief Mekanya Okon Charles as the president of the Mundemba Subdivisional Chiefs Conference. During the presentation ceremony, in the presence of the divisional officer for Mundemba Subdivision, the outgoing president thanked his peers for the sense of maturity and that they should be true ambassadors of peace in their respective chiefdoms and campaign against hate speech in order to encourage growth as a people.
When we scornfully tell others that this is our land, that is called hate speech. When people use their numbers deliberately to suppress others, when people use their positions of power to intimidate, suppress, frustrate others, that is called hate speech. When we discriminate against disabled, the less privileged, that's called hate speech. I came to this because this is what is current as doctrine, which the government is preaching to all of us, and it will descend also in our own small communities.
Though Mundemba is observing some relative calmness, but there is still need for vigilance, and the bike sector needs some sanity. Reason why Chief Okon Charles brought with him some identification jacket for the bikers here in Mundemba.
Be very happy for our patch in Kenya.
Apart from assisting in the repairs of some basic amenities like roads and bridges, Chief Mekanya Okon Charles also begged his fellow chiefs to go and encourage their subjects to engage more in agriculture, showing some of his farm tools ready to assist farmers in need.
The incoming team has to work as the outgoing team.
The presentation ceremony also provides the opportunity for the Mundemba Subdivisional Chiefs Conference to congratulate Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute, Cameroon Prime Minister and Head of Government, who is the son of Ndian Division.
Because of the prevailing crisis, chiefs have not met as a body to congratulate the Prime Minister, Head of Government. We therefore use this sitting to formally send our heartfelt congratulations to the Prime Minister, Head of Government, His Excellency Chief John Gute Joseph.
Chief Ifama Emmanuel of Mundemba was also presented as the president-elect of Ndian Chiefs Conference.
Opposition politicians in the Republic of Cameroon blame what they consider as poor management of the COVID-19 fight in the country on bad governance and disorder within the administrative circle. But supporters of the CPDM say there is no disorder. There is no disorder in Bia's government. They were speaking on Droit de Réponse on Equinoxe Television yesterday, and Innocent as they compiled their views in this report.
Groups of influence and power keep multiplying in Cameroon, notably around management of funds to fight against COVID-19. To the opposition, it is a consequence of bad governance. Even if the Prime Minister is at the helm of an interministerial committee, this does not change the fact that he remains the Prime Minister of the country. How comes that a minister who has passed to execute certain projects is kicked aside when it comes to execution? Instead, other persons are chosen to do the task. CPDM militant underlines that there is no cacophony within the Bia's government. According to him, the head of state remains the sole captain. It is the head of state who fixes economic and socio-political orientations. He has authority to assign the Prime Minister and to create a task force.
Il est libre de confier les missions au Premier ministre. Il est libre de créer une task force. Encore plus, la task force a un caractère temporaire.
CRM militants precises that the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic is consolidating more power.
Ce qu'on constate quand même, c'est que
what we noticed is that the task force was surprisingly given powers of ministers to execute projects. This means the concerned ministers are now powerless.
Des membres du gouvernement.
It is thus such scandal that makes people develop bad thoughts, like seizure of power.
Nous ne pouvons pas dire que
the CPJ militant rebukes such thoughts, saying he is merely working on instructions from the head of state.
Par le chef de l'État lorsqu'il a reçu les rapports concernant, n'est-ce pas, le Covid.
The opposition that has remained adamant thinks it is high time the captain takes full control of the sinking ship.
Juvenile delinquency is on the rise in schools across the Republic of Cameroon with deadly consequences, and to fight this ill in the academic milieu in the country, the Consumers Union is on the ground intensifying sensitization, and notably in schools in the town of Douala, in order to curb juvenile delinquency and its consequences on pupils and schools in the country. Immaculate Fokwe has more.
On the 29th of March 2019, a Form 4 student of Government Bilingual High School Deido Douala stabbed to death a Form 5 student. On the 14th of January 2020, a 15-year-old male student equally stabbed to death a mathematics teacher of Government High School Kolbisong Yaoundé. These are two of several other tragic incidents that are recorded in educational establishments in Cameroon. Juvenile delinquency is on the rise in school milieu, and if stringent measures are not taken, many other tragic incidents may still occur.
Because drug taking, cigarette smoking, and gambling is killing schools in Cameroon. It is the brain behind all the killings, all the fightings, and all the theft in our school.
In order to address this cankerworm, the Cameroon Consumer Syndicate FOCACO sensitizes students on the dangers of gambling, violence, drug and alcohol abuse.
Gambling, alcohol, tobacco and narcotics are bad for the brain of young people. So we are calling them to avoid that product, and we say that
on behalf of the CJOS, we are touched. We are so happy with the presence of this group here today, because we are praying if you could multiply this visit, maybe it will help sensitize our students to stop this type of delinquent act that we may consider ignorant. So we call upon you people to come constantly so that they may be relieved from this illness.
Government authorities are urged to construct recreational facilities in schools in order to stop these students from being idle.
We need more stadium for young people. We need more recreation centers, and so we are called the student, the teenager, to avoid participating in gambling, to avoid taking alcohol, drugs and tobacco.
The sensitization campaign is expected to run from the 19th to the 30th of April. Within this time frame, the syndicate will visit schools in Douala, Yaoundé and Bafoussam.
Out of Cameroon, a huge fire burning along Table Mountain compels South African emergency workers to evacuate 3 17-story residential buildings overlooking Cape Town. The blaze spread quickly after breaking out yesterday morning near a memorial to politician Cecil Rhodes, and a restaurant was destroyed. The University of Cape Town's historic library has also been badly damaged. About 250 rescue soldiers have been battling the blaze. Fanned by strong winds, helicopters were used to waterbomb flames, but their work had been hampered by strong winds. South African National Parks said the flames spread quickly because of low humidity and dry bush. It adds that the fire created its own wind, further increasing the rate of spread, and estimates that firefighters will need about 3 days to control the flames. And for greater details, now take a listen to this extract of the spokesperson of Cape Town's firefighting service.
It's been a very tiring and testing day, and even the evening. As you can see, the strong southeaster came out this morning, and from 2 o'clock actually it moved across from the Rose Memorial side over to Vredehoek. Currently it's above Tafelberg Road, and we've got resources deployed on that side. Also at the bottom slopes here by Pepper Tree as well as Chelmsford Street, we've got resources there now. It's be extremely difficult for our aerial support, but I think the RX helicopter that assisted us in the Massimo Pelele fire would be the only chopper that will actually can fly in this windy conditions. 2 city firefighters were injured and they were taken to a private hospital, and 2 of the fellow agencies from the Wildland Fire Services were injured and were also taken to hospital. The condition is not yet known, as that is a private matter with them. Obviously the Jagger Library that sustained the most damages. There's a structural engineer coming out this morning to see what damages was caused, but we still got crews there in case there's any flare.
That's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Thanks for joining us in Talking Points. David Sunate, a civil society leader and member of the Catholic Men's Association in Cameroon, is our guest today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm glad to be here.
You're just coming from the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral, where there is the 4th Wakekeeping Mass for His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi going on.
Yeah, we just finished the English Community Mass for Cardinal Tumi, which started at 4 and it's ended just now.
All right. What did you observe there as far as the wakekeeping or the...
Well, it was very well attended. There's a lot of people there. Cardinal Tumi is somebody who impacted a lot of lives, did a lot for this community, and was certainly a model man of God, spiritual leader. And I want to say for our English community especially, and the Anglophone crisis, he was a very firm believer in federalism, fought for it, and I think even to his dying days, his last breath, he was still of the opinion that a federation was the better thing. And what I personally cannot understand and cannot accept is that this man of God with such goodwill was refused the opportunity to organize an Anglophone conference where Anglophones from the Northwest and the Southwest could sit among themselves and talk and decide and debate, and let's see what comes. And to me, I think for such a good man to have gone away without doing anything, I can only see one of the bridges for a federation breaking for good. And the other one is Fon Mukete. In the political point, he too was an ardent believer in federation. These are people who knew better days of Cameroon, who knew better things, who saw better things and better possibilities if we could only federate as one country, but with two different systems. What was agreed?
Going back to the two-state federal system that existed before it was abolished. And these are some of the solutions that have been proposed on several occasions by many people for over 4 years today. Return to federalism, and even the AGC was coming in as a pathway to the solution to the problems in the northwest and southwest regions of the country today. And there is still bloodshed, there is still destruction going on. The last incident in Songwa left at least 5 persons dead last night.
This is so tragic. It's so sad. And they look at it as a joke, because a general, a whole general of the army, is the one who goes to rescue or to receive people who have been rescued. There is more to this than just that. It's not a joke anymore. Let's be serious. Let's accept that a federation went wrong somewhere, and that the correction to that is to sit down, look into what was supposed to be, where it went wrong, and come back to something that is workable. It's a democracy. We can vote on it. And everybody says, yeah, one and indivisible, fine. You say a federation, fine. And if they say we go our separate ways, why not? Fine.
What's your reading of such an incident at this point in time? A random shooting by unidentified gunmen, and on the spot 5 people go down.
My reading is that the government does not accept what is going on. They believe things are cooling down. They believe there is calm. They believe they are smashing the people. They are getting control of them. None of that. None of that. I'd say if it continues like this, then this worse is yet to come. People are frustrated. People have nothing to do. There is no way out. Yaoundé is a city of its own. It's not living in the republic. They get information, but they don't know how to interpret it. They don't know how to use it.
You're attributing that incident to what you consider as government's refusal to accept the actual situation on the ground. But on the side of the government, the authorities are accusing the non-state armed groups that they are the one who are causing the situation to persist, the bloodshed to continue, the destruction to continue.
Why are they not talking to them? These people are known. They're willing to talk. But the government doesn't even want to talk to them. There is a belief, an erroneous belief in Yaoundé, that this thing can be conquered, that they can use force. They will not. It's not a question of a conquest. The Anglophones, before they got to this point, and I mean the Anglophones in their vast majority, not what we consider those who have benefited from the system or are still benefiting from the system. The real Anglophones, they believed in the unity of this country, in the federation of this country, but they have been deceived. And since the trouble started, nothing has been done to convince them. Instead, they are converting more and more people. Because some people did not even know they were lying. And then as time goes on, as the cruelty goes on, as the savage, the butchery continues, there are those who are convinced that there must be some truth in this.
But government has done quite a lot of things that can be cited in a whole book, that can be written down in a whole book by some of the authorities who indicates the will of government, the will of the President of the Republic to solve this problem, to put an end to all the bloodshed.
I'll ask the head of state, whom I still believe in, that if he really has the will, he should listen to the people that matter. Let him throw away all those ones who are giving him advice now. Let him call his worst enemy among the Amber boys or among the opposition camp and listen to him, you find out that they are human beings, that they have a complaint and they have a solution. And that solution is not as deadly as the head of state is being made to believe it is. And that there are other interests, which we believe, foreign in this case, who have an interest in letting the situation deteriorate, rot. They're getting their petrol out, they're getting their monies, and they don't care. 10 years, 20 years down the line, the people will be free. And what suffering would they have gone through?
And some of the people who have been in captivity for more than a month in Asu, in Benin, set free by security and defense forces, said that one of them said he can't go away from the military because if he steps away from the military, his head will be cut off.
Yeah. Do those people look to you like refugees? Do they look like people who suffered? They are healthier than some of the people who are in town here. I looked among them to see misery. I looked to see people. The Muslims, after their month of Ramadan, will be slimmer than most of them. Take a good look at the picture again. I know say they're not capturing people, but those don't seem to me like people who were suffering in any place. They were eating very good fufu and kati.
That raises a question mark. Are they actually
staged? I think. They don't look like miserable people to me. I'm sorry. They're well fed.
Some of them were severely beaten.
So they say.
According to.
So they say there's cameras now. There is what do they call it? Android. Why didn't they have their captives film it so that they can come and show us? I don't know. I think the joke is gone too far. Let these people decide to solve this problem. It's easy. Let people stop benefiting from the disarmament, the camps, the propaganda of bringing people to town and talking. There is real suffering going on. And I bet you, Jonathan, go to Bonaberry, go to the IDP centers, you see people suffering there far more than these ones who say they have been in captivity.
Suffering, of course, is almost the daily bread of children, women, young people, men across the two regions, especially those who are in very remote areas, and things seem not to be moving towards the direction of peace when we look at such incidents occurring today. What would you say about the extremist kind of position that has been taken by some people here and there? On the other side, we don't want anything, we want our state. On the other side, we can't talk with you, we must track you down and kill you because you're rebels, you're terrorists, you're this and that.
Those are all positions of people who stand to gain from whatever. But the real people who decide are the ones in the middle. And the only way they can decide if they let those extremists come into a dialogue and talk. Let them come and discuss. Let them make it possible for them. Let not invite them to Yaoundé, appoint the people on one side and appoint the people on the other side. They are all talking to themselves. We know who the opposition people are. We know what their position is. They've said it's too risky to come and do the Yaoundé. Look for a neutral place.
Some Cameroonians abroad were proposing that a meeting should take place in Ghana, for example, where all those people be brought together.
But the pride of the rulers of this country will not let them accept a thing like that.
Right.
Prepare for people to suffer.
David Sunadi, civil society leader, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. And that'll be it for today. Have a nice evening in the company of our programs. Equinoxe Tv. Thanks.